Hello friends, Jason here for TheChartGuys, taking a look at our coronavirus names. Looking at SPY, pretty strong day. Good volume, we've got a big push, we held support, we see a good push to the upside, and that is not going to be great for our coronavirus names. We want to see market weakness, we want to see fear. So I suspect that across the board, we're going to see a little bit of red. Starting with APT, APT is definitely in a bearish downtrend. One thing we want to do when we're looking at APT, and any of these names, if we see a little bit of a lower wick, we want to see what the story is behind that lower wick. Are we in a bear flag? Are we in a trend? And we need to examine who has momentum. So right now in the daily time frame, there's no doubt about it, bears have momentum. We keep setting lower lows, so we're going to look for trends. We're going to look for something that's going to give us an idea when we can expect some sort of reversal, because we're going to get oversold here unless we've really been stair-stepping our way down, which I doubt. Daily time frame RSI is 47.15, happy right where it is. And this is the stair stepping that I'm talking about. When we set lower lows and lower highs and we consistently have little breaks where we go sideways, setting up inside bars and having continued weakness, that allows the RSI to cool off. So for that reason, we have seen a pretty dramatic drop in APT, but we've seen a relatively easy decline in RSI. The longer we go sideways, the more the RSI has an opportunity to cool off, and that's why we're seeing a slight uptick here, sitting at 37.49. If we look at this another way, this is a nice little 4-hour bear flag setup. If we see a pullback or a change in trend on the 5-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame, we would expect this to continue. It's a little bit too aggressive to draw in a 4-hour chart or a 4-hour trend, but we might be able to pull something off here on the hourly. And what we're going to do is just play around, see if we can find something that fits most of the action. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to find anything useful at all. And in fact, I don't think we will in this exact video. But you can definitely see how we have this trend established. There's our 4-hour trend. We have our hourly lower highs, lower lows. And in the rare case, we get a little bit of a peak and still a lower high. So what we need to do is change this pattern of behavior. And what we're going to do by changing that behavior is to get a new high when we've only been getting lows. So let's reinforce that a little bit more. Here is our lows. We're consistently setting lower highs. And this is important because it's a really big psychological impact. When as strong as the bulls possibly are, they can only set a lower high and consistently moving down. So in order to change that story, what we need to do is set a new high above 1220 and set a lower high, because we're also setting lower lows in each case. We need to change that trend, and that's the first sign of some sort of strength returning to APT. Until we see a new hourly higher high and higher low into another higher high, it's going to be a very strong hourly downtrend, and we can see that even when we get oversold, we're not getting a lot of bounce potential follow through on APT. So going into tomorrow, we see no change in trend. We need to see this hourly trend change at the bare minimum to see some sort of bounce. The daily time frame, a little bit of room to the downside still, and no real signs of strength at all. Lake, on the daily time frame, we see this big drop. We see probably an oversold position. We'll check that out. And we're seeing indecision. So this is a spinning top candlestick. It tells us that basically the market is indecisive. It doesn't really know what it's going to do. Green is better than red in this case for the bulls, but ultimately that can just be that oversold bounce response. We have to go in and figure out what's going on here. For daily supports, we don't have anything, down to $12 psychological. On the 4-hour time frame, we see the 4-hour sideways action, break bear, and now we are seeing rejection initially from our EMA 26. So this is a little bit of a stronger move, but still seeing sound rejection and still so far in a 4-hour downtrend, and likely have not changed an hourly trend. So here's this hourly low, here's our new high, and we have a lot of work to do in order to get a new high. 1695, that's where we need to get to. So what can happen is we can establish a nice 50-minute uptrend. That's going to be a 15-minute counter trend. Let's go look at that actually. There it is. There's our low, our high, higher low, higher high. Now we can keep doing this. And if we do keep doing this, we have the possibility of inching our way up to a new hourly higher high. That'd be good. And it's just going to be a little move like this, but we still need to establish a higher low. We need to build that base of support that's going to allow a 4-hour trend change to take place and give us a nice daily candlestick or two to the upside. But so far, not seeing anything that's giving me any sort of confidence in these markets and in these coronavirus tickers. And I keep saying this, we need to see more fear and more bad news if we're going to see big upticks in these sort of names. CODX, another red candlestick day. No support down until, let's say, the 270s, so a long way to go. We're going to be oversold on some time frames. Very unlikely in the daily. Daily's very happy, right in the middle at 48.14. So we could drop substantial in the daily time frame and not expect any sort of bounce or oversold conditions. We have a 4-hour downtrend. We have an hourly downtrend, and bulls are doing a strong little move here. And we can see that we were heavily oversold. We got our RSI down into the 16s before we saw this quick 15-minute trend. At this point, all it is a 15-minute uptrend because we haven't set new higher highs or higher lows. We're just consistently setting lower highs and lower lows. So let's go look at that 15-minute trend. There it is. There's that drop. Very likely a double bottom or very close to it. Let's see if we can adjust that. So our low is 557, 561, 562. So nice double bottom into a 15-minute trend change. And we are just inching our way up. A lot of work to do for CODX. It's a green day, but don't be fooled because we are still facing an hourly and 4-hour downtrend. BIAR, daily time frame. Similar situation now, closing below our EMA 26. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, this looks like a 4-hour bear flag. So we've got a lot of room to go before we get oversold. We could expect to see our 4-hour bear flag execution, which would be the loss of the low of 26.58, let's adjust that a little bit. 27.41. So if we lose 27.41, that's going to be bear flag execution. At that point, we may expect to see our 4-hour RSI oversold at a sub 30 level. But so far, we are just looking for more bearish downside continuation, 4-hour downtrend, hourly downtrend, with an ever so slight 15-minute counter trend, just like on the other names. So a lot of similarities in these charts, and if this action continues, we are going to see a slow and methodical approach to those historical lows. NVAX earnings tomorrow, so this is not always the most applicable to apply technical analysis right before earnings day, but nonetheless, we see a stronger open, but we see a lot of pressure. This is a bigger volume day than we've seen yesterday, almost the same as the day before that. But we're seeing weakness. We're seeing an inside bar, so we have a couple of ranges to watch for. If we open inside this range, we'll be in a good position for a more informed break. But our inside bar range is 1035. Our high is 1248. We'll want to open inside that and break. I suspect that most of this momentum is going to be the downside, even with our gap up. So a little bit of indecision, a lower low, and now looking for some sort of confirmation of a trend. Here's an hourly trend. We break it, move down. A lot of chop, a lot of volatility. One thing actually that we need to talk about for charts is that sometimes there just isn't a lot of useful information. Not every piece of financial data can be interpreted in a useful way. So if you're looking at a chart and it doesn't make any sense, you're not seeing any trends, you're not seeing any patterns, you don't really know what to make of it, you know what? That's perfectly fine. I don't think enough people talk about the fact that sometimes charts just don't tell you a whole lot. And if I'm looking at this hourly time frame, particularly from the 9th to today, I just see a lot of chop and indecision, and I don't see anything useful for me to be playing with as far as making trade decisions. So keep an eye on this guy tomorrow. Maybe the inside bar will tell us something, but I doubt it at this point. See what earnings do, and please take care of your capital, use your stop losses, make good decisions, and be very cautious playing these names. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate all your views, comments, all that stuff. If you want to learn more about technical analysis, TheChartGuys.com. We have amazing people in that community, so check it out.